When you think about questing in classic WoW, one of the key things you might recall is the network of overlapping adventures that weave across the land as you level up and explore the game. Traveling to a far-off place to recover an ancient artifact, delivering supplies to a destination 2 zones over, or perhaps revisiting a familiar zone and unpacking a deeper level of lore. This mix of diverse goals makes your journey feel organic and different every time you play. Today, I want to investigate one of my favorite examples of this type of multi-zone storytelling and reveal the secrets that have lingered in the margins of the story for over 20 years. This is a tale of 2 wizards of Azeroth, and 2 rival citadels of magic linking 2 of the most beloved zones in the entire game. As always, thank you for the fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. There's nothing quite like starting a video off in the peaceful glades of Elwynn Forest, the first zone explored by millions of WoW players over the years. As you level your character from 1 to 10 here, you'll likely travel down the eastern road toward the Eastvale logging camp and Stonecairn Lake, and on the way you'll likely run past one of the most noticeable landmarks in the entire zone, the Tower of Azora. This place immediately gives off a sense of power and magic without even going inside, and the blue pointed roof and white stone walls indicate you're well within Alliance territory here. If you're feeling adventurous, you might explore inside, but as a low-level player you'll find no quests. Just a few vendors, an enchanting trainer, and some random NPCs who don't do much. From this perspective, it's easy to discount the Tower of Azora as simply a decorative feature of the zone, a roadside monument that looks cool but serves no real purpose. This is probably the attitude most of us had early on in our first playthroughs, and it wouldn't be until much later when its true story would be revealed. 10, 15, maybe 20 levels later, you might find yourself in the Red Ridge Mountains east of Elwynn, dealing with the various threats that have encroached upon the once peaceful land. The Shadowhide Gnolls have overrun the Gallardel Valley in the east, hampering Alliance efforts to retake the zone. The town of Lakeshire has put a bounty on the overseer of the clan, Lieutenant Fangor, a cunning warrior found with his crew in the center of the valley. There's also a bounty on the pendants carried by the Gnolls, and you and your allies are dispatched to take care of this threat. But the quest dialogue here seems to indicate there's more to this story than first meets the eye. An enemy of Stormwind has taken up residence in the eastern foothills of Redridge. This wicked villain uses the arcane to spread terror and misery upon our town and our people. Under the name Morganth, he conducts his evil business. Morganth now controls the Shadowhide Gnoll clan to perform his biddings. As stated by the law of Lakeshire, aiding a criminal of the kingdom is punishable by death. This is the first mention of the dark wizard Morganth, the true master of the Shadowhides. Embarking on your mission to clear out Gallardel Valley, there's no sight of him as you eliminate the Gnolls and collect their pendants, but there is a clue as to his whereabouts. A mage tower overlooks the area and is guarded by the most powerful of the Gnolls. This is the Tower of Ilgalar, the red-hued cousin of Azora back in Elwynn. It's much too soon to attempt a raid on the tower itself, but as you deal with the Gnolls scattered throughout the valley, you might pick up a glowing Shadowhide pendant that points you in the right direction. Do not be alarmed. I am Theocritus, High Mage of Tower Azora in Elwynn Forest. The pendant you are holding is a method of communication between the Shadowhide Gnolls and their master, Morganth. Through months of research, I believe I too can communicate through these pendants. If you can hear this message, then my spell was a success. Bring me this pendant, and I will reward you for the service. After collecting your bounties for Fangor and the pendants, it's time to take a trip back to Elwynn, where the Tower of Azora waits for you at last. Entering the tower, you encounter several gnomish servants of Azora, and a few humans versed in the arcane arts. And ascending to the top floor, you find Theocritus, who thanks you for completing his task. Though the spell he sent to the pendants seems only partially successful, the mage shares that he plans on developing remote attack spells to incapacitate the Gnolls in the future. But his true focus is on Morganth himself. My rival, Morganth, is a vicious mage of great power who lives in the Tower of Ilgalar in Redridge. I have developed a means of spying on him, the Eye of Azora, and can now view him from afar. But to study his thoughts, I require further aid. If you are willing, then take my glyph of Azora to the Tower of Ilgalar. Place it upon the lion statue near the tower. This is our one and only mention of the mystical Eye of Azora, a seeing stone that sits on the table nearby. There's no gameplay reason to do so, but if you're observant and actually click on the eye, something incredible happens. An in-game cutscene that grants you a vision of the Tower of Ilgalar, with the camera flying around before giving you a short glimpse inside. Besides the intro cinematics for each race, this is, I believe, the only cutscene in all of Classic WoW. A truly one-of-a-kind experience that for some reason is only found here. If there's something similar that happens elsewhere, comment down below, but to my knowledge, the next time we see something like this is the Scrying Orb in the Burning Crusade expansion. Anyway, back in Red Ridge, you find the old lion statue, and Theocritus is able to relay further information as he begins to probe the mind of Morganth for intel. He discerns that Morganth and the Gnolls are at odds with the Blackrock orcs who have raided the nearby stronghold of Stonewatch, and the mage wants to know more. While the two enemy factions aren't in open conflict with one another, it's likely this is an uneasy truce for the time being, both sides staying in their own territory and not causing trouble. Hiding another glyph of Azora inside the pillaged guard tower, Theocritus is able to sense the minds of the orcs and gather even more information, and the final quest tells us a lot about what he finds. After much observation, I have discovered Morganth's plans. He searches for the Scythe of Elwynn, and he may have found it. If he has, then the Red Ridge Mountains and the Kingdom of Stormwind will soon feel his dark might. I am not prepared to pit myself against Morganth, but I fear he must be dealt with now. So you must enter the Tower of Ilgalar and face Morganth, defeat him, and bring me his pendant of shadow. Do this, and the kingdom will owe you much. As I covered in my Scythe of Elwynn deep dive from a while back, the artifact Morganth is searching for is extremely powerful, capable of summoning the terrifying Worgen to Azeroth and commanding them. Players who undertake the storyline involving it learn how the Worgen of Duskwood were summoned by the Scythe, the weapon eventually being stolen by the mysterious Dark Riders of Karazhan, and we never learn its ultimate fate in Classic. We do know, however, that Morganth probably never got his hands on it, instead using his shadow magic to corrupt and command the Shadowhide Gnolls. Not a bad backup plan, all things considered. Another element of this quest I find interesting is how Theocritus admits he is not strong enough to deal with Morganth alone, instead tasking you and your fellow adventurers to raid Ilgalar and end the threat. And I can't blame him. He is a level 24 squaring up against a level 27 elite. Returning once more to Galardel Valley, you make your way into the Dark Tower, a grim reflection of Azora, not teeming with wisdom, but forbidden knowledge and experiments. You eliminate the remaining Shadowhide Gnolls and grapple with the Servants of Ilgalar, demonic hounds that defend the tower with unnatural fury. Morganth waits at the top, guarded by his most trusted servants, and he puts up quite a challenging fight, even summoning a grotesque abomination to assist him. But eventually, the Dark Wizard falls, and you claim his Pendant of Shadow as a trophy. The questline ends with you delivering the pendant back to Theocritus, who commends you on removing a powerful enemy of Stormwind. I offer you this reward most humbly, and I would bid you peace if these were peaceful times, but instead, I will bid you luck with your trials, and victory in the conflicts ahead. A great emotional high note to end on, especially as you're nearing level 30 and preparing to depart human lands for more challenging and exotic locations. However, there is still quite a lot to unpack here, and there are several story fragments I want to bring together now to really enhance the narrative being told here. One thing that really stands out to me about this tale is the rather simplistic good versus evil story we find ourselves taking part in, but there's some intriguing depth to it as well. Blue Tower versus Red Tower, good wizard versus evil wizard, that part's obvious, but there are some more interesting elements to look at too. Both Azora and Ilgalar have groups of servants named after them that patrol the towers, and both are led by powerful mages. Morganth, in his pursuit of power and strength, wields powerful shadow magic and commands an army of gnolls and hounds. Theocritus, meanwhile, makes up for what he lacks in raw power with intellect, relying on stealth, surveillance, and creative magical solutions to work against the dark powers. It seems his plans extended beyond just arcane signals, as you might just come across a captured servant of Azora in Render's Valley, maybe a spy heading for the tower before being apprehended by the orcs. Regardless of his story, I think he's a terrific addition, almost an Easter egg NPC in a way, and he even sells specialty supplies to tailors. another connection that links him back to the residents of the tower. Alliance Mage players get a final bit of information about the Tower of Ilgalar and this magical rivalry from a class quest in Stormwind, where High Sorcerer Andromath explains the following. Long ago, 3 mages studied in this tower until one fell to the dark arts. He was urged to turn away from that evil magic, but he could not resist, and so he was banished. The fallen mage's new domain is the Tower of Ilgalar in Redridge, and he took with him a powerful book, Ur's Treatise on Shadow Magic. We, the mages of Stormwind, would have that book returned. Enter the Tower of Ilgalar, find the tome in his library, and bring it to me. The book is at the top of the tower, and once you collect it, you learn the seals protecting it are still intact, meaning Morganth was never able to utilize the dark knowledge he stole. As a side note, the wizard Ur who wrote the tome also wrote another book that is found by Horde players in Shadowfang Keep, which heavily focuses on the Worgen and the dark powers involved in summoning them. This gives us another hint that Morganth may have been planning to claim the Scythe of Elune and experiment with Worgen. The most interesting part of this quest, though, is the mention of 3 apprentices studying in Stormwind before Morganth's fall. There is never another mention of this 3rd apprentice, and we can only guess as to who it may have been. Someone who perished during Morganth's betrayal, or someone we can still find today. Some of my personal favorites include Finn Odelic, who is researching the plague up in Southshore, and, plot twist, Morbant Fell, the necromancer of Duskwood who may have family ties to Stormwind and could have had dealings with Morganth at some point. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments, and the rest of the information we have about this whole story is basically speculation. There are a lot of unknowns surrounding the 2 towers, and specifically their namesakes, Azora and Ilgalar. Are they just cool sounding names, or were they named after important people, maybe wizards of a bygone era? We can find a ring named Azora's Will out in the world, and a shipment of supplies to Netherguard Keep includes some valuable Azoran crystals, but one or both of these items could be named after the tower itself, not an individual. We also don't know who resided in either tower before their most recent hosts. Did Morganth defeat another wizard to take over Ilgalar? Or was the tower abandoned, maybe since the time of the First War? All interesting things to ponder, but with the information we have, it's best left up to your own interpretation. At the center of all this tower and wizard lore that may have some loose ends, you still get to experience a climactic showdown between the light and shadow, triumphing over a dark force that threatened all of Redridge and beyond. It's one of the most iconic storylines here in the Human Lands, even if it is a little out of the way, and I always feel a strong sense of nostalgia when I think about that secret cutscene, or the lion statue tucked away in a corner of the valley, a symbol of a kingdom that has seen better times, and hopes to, one day, see them again. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let us know if there are any other details or theories you've come across on your journeys, and I hope you enjoyed today's deep dive regarding these 2 rival wizards. Maybe next time you're questing in Redridge, you'll consider sticking around a little bit longer to find a glowing pendant, or pay Theocritus a visit on a return to Elwynn someday. A special thank you to my channel members who provide bonus support for these videos, and until next time, may the Force be with you.